The following program is an opinion program. The opinions expressed by the hosts and guests of this program are not the opinions of the management, staff, and advertisers of this station. Please direct all criticism, concern, and adulation to the hosts of this program.
Welcome to Alabama Politics. This week, I am Dale Jackson. I'm a radio talk show host. You can hear my shows Monday through Friday from 5 to 9 a.m. on WVNN in Huntsville, and from 10 until 11 on Talk 99.5 in Birmingham and News Radio 1440 in Montgomery. And then lucky you in North Alabama, you can also get me on The Ump from 3 until 4 p.m. So I'm basically everywhere at all times. With me, as always, Mecca Music. She is the CEO of 256today.com, smart news for smart people. We've got some very smart stuff for you today. Cameron Smith will be with us. He has written for AL.com for a very long time, and we'll talk with him about what he thinks about a lot of things happening inside the state and out, and we're covering all of those here. And then I've got a parting shot for you about Wandling Gavan, Democratic state representative, referencing Katie Britt and some of the Kamala Harris stuff. So we'll have a fun conversation about that at the end of the program. Right now, though, let's go ahead and get to that 2-minute warning. Now, I didn't think it would get weirder than Kid Rock playing a cleaned up version of American Badass at the Republican National Convention, but it did, and it became Megan Thee Stallion singing at a Kamala Harris event. And you know what? The Kamala Harris honeymoon continues. This is a long honeymoon. She must have married somebody who had a lot of money, because this thing is going on and on and on and on and on, and it's working. Okay, let's just be completely real about it. Kamala Harris is seeing an improvement in the polls. It's not really all that much, but it is very real. Is it going to stop? I don't know. But is Kamala Harris the front runner now? Mecca, is that something you can say?
I would say it's definitely, she's showing stronger in the polls than Joe Biden did. That is correct and 100% true. But I think if you take the whole of all the polls put together, it's tied. This is still a tied race in the polls.
But we're seeing I agree, but we're seeing a trend in her direction. No question about it. There's definitely a trend in her direction. And I'll tell you, fracking, illegal immigration, almost every possible issue, she has either changed her position or they've pretended she held a different position that she actually held. And it is working. It's super effective. I mean, this shows the effectiveness of the American people. People say, oh, nobody listens to what the media says. No. They absolutely do. It matters if they can craft a good narrative here. The question is, how long does this go on?
Well, just to speak on that narrative, a lot of the problems that they found with Joe Biden's campaign was that he could not bring together that Democratic coalition. Now,
that's because he was dead. I mean,
it seems like Harris has and is making gains to pull that together and get it. But if you remember, Hillary Clinton also had that Democratic coalition put together, and she did not win. So there's still a lot to go. I do agree. There's obviously an upward trend, especially from Biden's.
And keep in mind, this stuff was coming for Biden as well. Once that they declared that Biden was the thing and they couldn't get him out, we'd be back in this exact same situation about how virile he is and how smart he is and how great he is and beautiful, sexy at the same time. It's just unbelievable. But the thing about Kamala Harris is eventually this honeymoon will end. She will have to sit down and have a conversation that isn't scripted. And that is where you're going to find out whether or not she's serious or not. Because right now, Donald Trump goes and sits down with the National Association of Black Journalists and has a brawl with them. She wouldn't even show up there. I think
they could have gone better, just from my point of view.
It was terrible for everyone involved.
Yeah.
My point is, she wouldn't even go there. That shows there's something that they're worried about. This is a PR campaign right now. Eventually,
that's the perfect way to describe it. It is a PR campaign right now.
Our friends in the media should not be doing her PR. That's the problem. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about the smartest man in Alabama politics, David Bronner. He oversees the retirement system of Alabama, and he's saying that the people who don't want gambling are somehow the village idiots. At least that's what they wrote in their little newsletter that goes out to all the retirees in the state, and a lot of them echo the stuff that's in this. But if he's so smart, how come the fund he oversees is like $15 billion in the hole and has no way of actually having all the money that's supposed to have? But let's remove that to the side. If he's so smart, and he is the smartest man in Alabama politics, how come that $15 billion hole would get taken care of by gambling, which will bring in at most $750 million? If he's so smart, which he is, and they tell us all the time that he's the smartest man in Alabama politics, and a lot of you have no idea who this guy even is. So this is like Nerd Talk 101 here. 750 million, if you're talking about 15 billion, that's 20 years of revenue with no money going anywhere else and no increase in cost. And we aren't going to get that out of gambling. So the smartest man in Alabama politics might want to go back to the drawing board and try to come up with something better. Gambling as a solution for everything, Mecca. That is the, whatever you want, gambling is the solution. I mean, it's essentially the Kamala Harris of Alabama politics.
Okay, that's a little far. Okay, so listen, we obviously have had this gambling discussion many times, and is it good for Alabama? Is it bad for Alabama?
It's bad.
Okay, we've talked about this. However, that doesn't mean that other people don't have a differing view on this.
A wrong view.
And that it would stop.
Okay, sorry.
And that it would, it would increase revenue in certain areas. As you say, it'll bleed those areas dry.
Yeah.
There's a lot of debate on it. But I mean, I don't feel the need to personally attack him because he thinks this would be a good solution. I mean, there's probably a lot of other people who agree with him.
I just think he's the smartest man in Alabama politics because I've been told that repeatedly that that's the case, and that's why we're supposed to look at what he's doing and say this is the smartest man that's ever lived in Alabama politics, which again might be faint praise, but at the same time,
that's terrible.
I'm just
you
saying,
are in fine form today, aren't you, Dale?
I'm merely suggesting that how do I put this? If you're going to be talked about as the smartest man in Alabama politics, you shouldn't be talking about a $750 million deal that's going to fix a $15 billion problem. I'm sorry. I just don't foresee it. And then you got to take into account that in order to raise $750 million, other people are going to have to win 5 times that. So you're taking almost $3 billion out of the. But I'm not the smartest man in Alabama politics. So what do I know?
I think you're just offended that that's not your title.
It is my title. I'm going to take it by the time this is all said and done. All right, moving on. Let's talk about something else that's happening. IVF, a thing that you never heard about, never talked about, and now you're supposed to care about this as if it is the most important issue on the table. And if candidates come forward and say, I support IVF 100%, you have to say, yeah, well, what about abortion, huh? It's about reproductive rights, isn't it? That's what it's really about. And that is what it's really about. Now, here's the context here. In District 2 in Alabama, the race between Caroline Dobson and Shamari Figures, we are now looking at a race where people are acting as if a big decider here might be reproductive rights. And one of the ways they're going to tie that to Alabama is this controversy we had where IVF clinics stopped operating for a little bit because they were concerned about how things were going in the state. They passed a stopgap, but not good enough. So they've gone to Caroline Dobson and said, reproductive freedom. And she said, IVF, reproductive freedom, I'm perfectly fine with. Which again was met with the media going, well, that's not good enough. Mecca, is this still going to be an issue in this race, even though she says, oh, yeah, I'm 100% for this?
Well, not just in this race, but in Alabama. As you mentioned, this is a stopgap measure. When these legislators return to Montgomery for the regular session, they are going to have to tackle this. This is a serious issue. And you discount a very vocal but small contingent who believe that it, a lot of people believe conception begins at life, but the legislature is going to have to decide, does it begin at implant?
They're not going to ban IVF. I'm not saying you're saying that, but
okay,
that's sort of
but this is a serious issue, and it is going to continue to be a serious issue, especially in the upcoming legislature and in this race. I don't understand why you would be offended that she was asked about this.
I'm not offended by it. I'm offended by the premise. The premise of this entire conversation is that there's a disingenuousness behind being pro-life and being for this. That's my problem with the entire premise.
I think there's many
this is the
conservatives,
most pro-life thing you can say. These people are going out of their way to create.
And that's what she pointed out, building families.
I'm pro-choice, by the way, but I can also see that angle of and I find it it's not offensive, but I find it kind of silly that they've tried to tie this so intently to abortion because they don't want to say abortion. They want to say reproductive freedom and reproductive health and other things like that, and they can tie this to abortion that way. That's why I have a problem with
when you talk about this issue, though, and we got in a fight about this on the show once, show a little more respect for IVF and the families because you were just like, oh, this is an issue, this isn't an issue. It is an issue, and it's going to continue to be an issue.
The solution is clear. The solution will happen. The solution is going to happen.
And not without debate and pushback. It's already began.
It will fully exist in the state of Alabama a year from now. This again, This is a canard. I'm sorry. It just is. It is a made-up issue for political sake. The end result of this is clear. We know what's going to happen here. The IVF will be allowed to continue in the state of Alabama. There was no reason for those clinics to stop it in the first place. That was a political move as well. And you know how I know that? Because it came from UAB. And that's where it all started. And UAB has made it very clear they are perfectly okay to get right in the middle of all sorts of political issues. And this was another one that they did. That's it.
I don't quite agree with you on all those points, but I see what you're saying.
Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about the Olympics. And it was, it's a mess. Okay, it really is. It is a mess. I actually enjoy the Olympics. It is the only time a year or 4 years where I'll actually sit down and watch sporting events that I care nothing about. Water polo? Oh yeah, sure, love it. USA, USA. That's about it. That's the extent of why you should care about any of this. So when you sit down and you watch the opening ceremonies and they mock 2 billion people on the planet with a Last Supper homage, which then they tell you, no, that's not what it was about. It was about the Greeks, you understand, and it just looked exactly like that, and blah, 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 blah. So, please. But it's not the only thing going on there. There's a lot of other cringy stuff happening. We have grown men fighting grown women. That's one thing that's bothering people. You had a guy from a European television network get fired because it was taking a while for the Australian women to come out, and he was like, what are they doing? Putting on their makeup? Ha, ha, ha. It's like, it's a joke. It's kind of funny. You can laugh it off, maybe
so
you say,
cringe, though.
But it's one of those things you lean over and you go, probably shouldn't have said that. And you're like, yeah, you're right. I probably shouldn't have said that. And that would be the end of it. Instead, they're like, you're fired. Your career's over. It's absolutely not. Gold medal in cringe for these guys so far.
100%. And don't forget all the people, all the majority men who are mad that the beach volleyball players have a say in their uniforms this year. So they're not all wearing bikinis. It's not required. And they're mad about it. Are you kidding me?
I didn't even know that was happening.
Oh, no, this is absolutely a thing. This is absolutely a thing. They're mad that they're not wearing bikini.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, I'm asking,
I mean, these
oh,
athletes,
man, I can't wait till the Olympics come around this year so I can see a girl in a bikini.
These athletes, though, are at the top level of their game, and they are competing and performing for medals in the Olympics. They should wear exactly what they can perform best in.
I think they should all have to wear bikinis. That's what I think. That's what I think they should have to wear. Did you see the other side of this? The shot putter shows up at the Olympics, and they're like, "Sorry, we don't have any clothes for you."
What?
Yeah, they did not have uniforms that were big enough for, so they had to have them specially made. I mean, that's true, because I guess they didn't realize that they were coming.
I know we're going long on this topic, but also as far as the Olympics and the cringe factor and everything is, okay, have you ever been to France? Do you know French people?
Excuse me. We fought a bunch of wars, so I wouldn't have to go over there. Thank you very much. No, I did not.
Okay, my point being, though, like, disdain for others is like their national brand, like proudly. Yeah. And so this should be. Which is why
I'm always like, oh, they walked it. Just don't walk it back. Just own it. If you want to do that, do that, and we'll be completely fine with that. And then we'll complain about it. That's what we do. That's our national thing that we do. All right, let's move on. Coming up next, Cameron Smith will be with us. He's with AL.com. We'll talk some political stuff with him. Stay tuned.
Want fun, safe, intelligent fitness programming? Want to build muscular strength, cardiovascular endurance, drastically improved range of motion and mobility, and learn proper nutrition to fuel your life with energy and emotional health? Well, come find out why Iron Tribe Fitness is ranked one of the top 5 fitness programs in America. Come find out why personal training and intentionally working on your current movement patterns individually is not only important, it's just another core value that separates Iron Tribe Fitness from other fitness facilities.
To learn how to get your 2-week free pass, go to irontribefitness.com.
Hey folks, Dale Jackson here for University Kia. This is my son Grant. He's a busy guy. Chess, piano, basketball, wrestling, baseball, you name it. There's probably some stuff that I missed that my wife will be mad about, but here's the thing. It's important to have reliable transportation. And my friends at University Kia, they take great care of me. I've been driving Sportages my entire life. My wife drives a Telluride now, and it is the perfect vehicle for the busy family. Folks, University Kia, let them take care of you like they've taken care of my family. That's University Kia. Learn more at universitykia.com.
Tom, Grant and Dale Jackson sent you.
You work hard to earn little escapes because doing your best means being your best. So let us help you discover your best at Premier Dental Spa. With our unique blend of cosmetic, dental, and spa-like aesthetic services, you'll leave feeling relaxed, refreshed, and renewed. Make sure the best you is here to stay and book your appointment online today at premierdentalspa.com.
Attention! This is a public notice from the Social Security Disability Helpline. If you're one of the millions of Americans who are disabled and unable to work, you may be eligible for disability benefits from Social Security. Receiving benefits is your right. If you suffer from physical or mental disability, whether you're applying for the first time or you've already been denied, we can help. We'll evaluate your situation and deal with Social Security on your behalf. Best of all, there's no fee until you receive your benefits. Remember, we only get paid if you win your case. There are many reasons and conditions that may make you eligible for disability benefits. Many of them you may not be aware of. So if you're disabled and unable to work, call now to get started with your free, no-obligation consultation.
Call 877-744-0750. That's 877-744-0750. 877-744-0750.
Well, welcome back to Alabama Politics This Week. I am Dale Jackson. With me, as always, Mecca Music. And our guest this week, Cameron Smith. He's a columnist at AL.com. And we're talking about a couple things going on here in the great state of Alabama. I want to talk about Alabama's smartest man. And Cameron's going to think that that's me, but it's not. It's actually David Bronner. He's with the Retirement Systems of Alabama. We're supposed to do everything he says at all times without question, because, of course, he is the smartest man in Alabama politics. Cameron, he wants to do gambling. That's the thing he cares about. He wants that done now, even though it won't cover all the shortfalls he's talking about. Everyone wants gambling for their pet little project here. What makes what David Bronner is saying, A, different, and B, newsworthy?
Nothing, actually. His concern is making sure that Alabama's pensioners get the checks the legislature needs to send their way to address any shortfalls. That's what he really cares about. He's been very specific that he'd actually prefer reasonable tax hikes, but he'll take gambling if that's all that he can get. And it's really on the Alabama legislature to come up with ways to get more revenue for the state of Alabama. And if there's a politician listening to David Bronner on the get more revenue model, they need to be voted out of office because they're not actually conservative. They need to decide, hey, how can we have a government that's as light of a burden as possible on Alabama taxpayers? And Bronner's never taken that perspective. His interests are pretty clear. And I don't think that it's going to be a politically potent argument because we've litigated this time and again, and gambling interests make it very, very difficult to go after that revenue in the first place.
Now, they got pretty close last time, and we can talk about 1,000 reasons why that almost happened. But I want to stick on the Bronner thing here for a second. I've been told it's not fair to blame him for the $15 million shortfall in the fund he oversees, which makes him the smartest man in Alabama politics, but we're not supposed to point out the $15.4 billion. Help me reconcile that, can you?
No, I can't, because I think his job as CEO is to oversee that. And so if he's got a massive shortfall, then my question is, how effective is the business model in the first place? Is this something that's sound for Alabamians? The answer is obviously no, it's not. That the system itself is broken, but as long as we're going to go with the system as it is, it's those investments that need to perform. And the idea that, well, that we really just need to get more tax revenue out of the people of Alabama. Maybe we just need a new CEO that has a better investment strategy.
Well, and just to be clear one more time here, we're talking about this $15 billion shortfall is well into the future. I mean, let's be clear. This is about every person who's in that system right now and who's going to get a retirement later on and all these things. That's what this is about, and that's a big part of it. But we'll move on past this. IVF, this is something that's come up a lot here in Alabama. It's a big deal in District 2. It's come up. It's going to be a big deal in the next legislative session. Is there any chance Alabama's politicians go, you know what, we're a pro-life state, we're not going to do IVF anymore?
I don't think so. The Southern Baptists came out and basically said that they're opposing IVF, and there will be some folks in Alabama who take that position. I think that's a very, very small section of conservative pro-life voters. I wrote a column on this and said that it's ridiculous. I mean, the idea that this technology that allows people to have families, that's incredibly pro-family, that trying to make a religious argument that God somehow allowed human souls to be trapped cryogenically for decades while they await implantation in a uterus, it just seems kind of bizarre. So I don't see the Alabama legislature saying no to IVF because, frankly, the overwhelming majority of Republicans support it.
Okay, well, dude, is there any chance that the legislature does anything but hurry up and get this done?
I don't see how, because when I say it's popular, I'm talking like 70, 80%. I mean, this isn't a close issue. It's not a toss-up even within the Republican Party. So I think they get everything cleared away pretty quickly.
Any impact on ALO2?
I don't think so, because those issues are pretty well baked into the cake, and the argument would have to be this somehow changes voter turnouts. I don't see that, really.
All right, let's move past this. Stay in AL2, though. Kamala Harris is now the person on the Democratic side. Okay, they've anointed her. This is who she is. The media is having a parade for her right now. Eventually, she'll have to sit down and have an actual conversation, but that's fine. Does this impact ALO2 at all?
I do think it impacts that race, because you're looking at a situation where now you have a black candidate at the top of the ticket. I think that does have downstream impacts. I think the enthusiasm within the Democratic Party is pretty clear. It's doubled. It was 4 out of 10 Democratic voters supported Biden as the nominee. Now it's 8, just a couple weeks later. And so the Democratic Party is fired up. I think black voters are, I don't think they're a monolith, but I do think the overall encouragement there in the Democratic Party matters. It matters down ticket, and I think it will matter in the 2nd Congressional District.
Cameron, polls have already showed that this race is very tight in this district. Will Harris being at the top of the ticket, will this be enough for Figures to win the seat?
All along, I think Figures had the inside track to win. I think that makes it easier for that to happen. I still think it's going to be somewhat competitive, but I don't think at any point I've seen anything that says this race goes lean Republican. I think this is a lean Democrat race, and until there's something there that suggests otherwise, I think you've got a good candidate there on the Republican side, and it's just a matter of what is the game changer? What's the thing that would allow the dynamics to shift? I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, I think there's Kay Ivey won this district as it's drawn right now in one of her races, but again, grain of salt there. Katie Britt came very close. I believe that's what we've seen so far that's come out of all of this. So I think this race is definitely in play. Is Kamala Harris overall the front runner in this election against Donald Trump? Has she taken that status?
Not right now, but I think that it would be absurd for Republicans not to take her incredibly seriously. I don't think it's because the Democrats are super excited about her. It's they got a younger, more competent, more capable, more energetic candidate who they can all rally around. And it feels very much like the first Obama campaign, where hope and change was the mantra. I think what we're going to see is a lot of voters, particularly Democratic voters, projecting their aspirations onto Harris rather than looking at her track record, because the truth is she doesn't really have much of a track record.
Yeah, I agree. I've been asking people online, every person who tries to start a fight with me, I say, hey, what are Kamala Harris's accomplishments? And they're like, oh, she was vice president. I'm like, all right, that's good. Last thing here, you've got a bunch of kids at home. The Olympics, are you watching? Has there anything happened there that's turned you off at all?
Well, the obvious turn off was the women's boxing. Seeing that, I talking about things, Democrats' new campaign strategy is that Republicans are weird. Folks that watch that and see what happened there between, I believe it was an Algerian boxer who hadn't passed the International Boxing Association's gender eligibility rules, the Olympics said, hey, whatever, we have a different set of rules. And we basically saw a male beat up on a female. And that's something that, man, that takes all the headlines and takes the air out of the room when there's a lot of athletes that work really, really hard. And between the gender identity issues and the absolutely bizarre opening ceremony, there's been a lot of distraction instead of looking at these athletes that some of them have prepared for most of their lives to be on this stage. And we're talking about everything but The Athletic.
Cameron Smith, AL.com. Thank you very much for being here. We really
Thank you,
appreciate you.
Cameron.
Becca, let me ask you this question here real quick. Is weird the word of the rest of the year? Is that what we're going to say on everything? Like everything's weird, this guy's weird, that guy's weird?
I don't know.
I think you're absolutely seeing it. It just seems like it's just the thing we're going to throw out at every turn. Becca Music is on our way out. That means the show gets a lot more weird. I mean, a lot better. So stay tuned. Right here, it's Alabama Politics This Week.
Want fun, safe, intelligent fitness programming? Want to build muscular strength, cardiovascular endurance, drastically improve range of motion and mobility, and learn proper nutrition to fuel your life with energy and emotional health? Well, come find out why Iron Tribe Fitness is ranked one of the top 5 fitness programs in America. Come find out why personal training and intentionally working on your current movement patterns individually is not only important, it's just another core value that separates Iron Tribe Fitness from other fitness facilities.
To learn how to get your 2-week free pass, go to irontribefitness.com.
Hey folks, Dale Jackson here for University Kia. This is my son Grant. He's a busy guy. Chess, piano, basketball, wrestling, baseball, you name it. There's probably some stuff that I missed that my wife will be mad about, but here's the thing. It's important to have reliable transportation. And my friends at University Kia, they take great care of me. I've been driving Sportages my entire life. My wife drives a Telluride now, and it is the perfect vehicle for the busy family. Folks, University Kia, let them take care of you like they've taken care of my family. That's University Kia. Learn more at universitykia.com.
Tom Grant and Dale Jackson sent you.
You work hard to earn little escapes because doing your best means being your best. So let us help you discover your best at Premier Dental Spa. With our unique blend of cosmetic, dental, and spa-like aesthetic services, you'll leave feeling relaxed, refreshed, and renewed. Make sure the best you is here to stay and book your appointment online today at premierdentalspa.com.
Here's an important message from the U.S. Med Diabetes Solutions Center. If you have diabetes, you know the pain of pricking your fingers. But now, by wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce your pain right away. It's easy to use and helps you make more accurate diabetes treatment decisions. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. Call the U.S. Med Diabetes Solutions Center to learn about this groundbreaking new CGM technology. If you have Medicare or private insurance, call to see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no cost. Shipping is free and will even bill your insurance company for you. U.S. Med is the #1 rated supplier on Google and Facebook reviews. So call us right now to see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no cost. U.S. Med. Better service. Better care.
Welcome back to Alabama Politics This Week. I am Dale Jackson. We're about to jump into the parting shot, where I'll reference a conversation I had with State Representative Wandolyn Gavan. That was pretty ugly. Pretty ugly. But you can go to yellowhammernews.com right now and see that conversation. Or you can sign up for the 7 things you should be talking about today to have that emailed directly to you right there at yellowhammernews.com. Every single morning, I'll send you an email with the 7 things you should be talking about today. Head on over to yellowhammernews.com right now and sign up for that today. Right now, though, let's go ahead and get to that parting shot. My parting shot this week is directed at State Representative Wandolyn Gavan, a Democrat out of Birmingham. In an interview with WTVY this week, she made a comment about people who were bringing up Kamala Harris's past and how she was in a relationship with a married man back in California 30 years ago, and she used that position to get appointed to different boards. Now, listen, this is undisputable fact. Those things all happened. You can allege that they were not connected or whatever, that's fine, but it's an indisputable fact that they happened. She then referenced Katie Britt and suggested if you're going to say that about Kamala Harris, maybe you should say it about Katie Britt, when there is zero evidence or even allegations about that until this happened right there. It's incredibly irresponsible and tactless, and it is just an attempt to deflect for absolutely no reason. The best thing to say in this situation is to say maybe it happened, maybe it did not, but let's look at all the accomplishments of Kamala Harris since then. Like Well, when you come up with some, you can let me know, okay? Well, maybe that's how we do it. But that's the bigger problem with this, and that's what we should actually be talking about here. All right, thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for watching Alabama Politics this week. We'll be back next week.